Hi everyone. Hi Leslie. Hi Caroline, happy Sunday. Hi Alan. I'm just tidying up my bits and pieces. Can you all hear me? Hi Patty. Yes, it's lovely and sunny here as well at the moment. Leslie, you can hear me. Caroline, yes, you can hear me. Great. What time is it? It's only 5 to, so I'll wait and see if a few more people jump on. And let's see what everyone else is saying. Hi Donna, yes, can hear me, great. Diane, Anna, hi Ashley, hope all is well with you. Yes, it is, thank you Anna, glad you're here. Mandy G, hi. Mandy G, is it you that's just sent me an email with the vinyl projects? I've literally only just seen it, not had chance to look at it properly, but had a very quick look and the projects look brilliant. I'm sure it was Mandy. I will go back and read the message properly later. It literally is, I've only just seen it while I was just setting up my phone for the filming. Hi Angel, Janet, Linda, Alice. Hi Alison, is everything okay? Oh, I'm glad he's resting. Is he still in the bubble wrap? Is Alan and Brenda is saying, hi Ashley, love the bag video. Oh, thank you. Beautiful day too on the south coast. Yeah, it's lovely here today. Hi Caroline. Caroline is saying, is it possible to convert a scanned file from the machine into an SVG? Okay, first of all, do you mean a file that is already built into your ScanNCut? And if you do, why do you want to convert it to an SVG? Just curious. Just seen Alison's comment just about, yes, wrapped up tight. Good. Oh dear. And Alison's saying, caught you up, last 2 lives. Okay, brilliant. Linda, thank you for all your help recently. You're welcome, Linda. Don't know if you got my last email earlier today, but what I was trying to say, Linda, if it's the Linda with the dinosaurs, sorry, I'm rubbish at names. I basically printed off the dinosaurs and scanned them straight into my ScanNCut machine, and they scanned perfectly. But just to make sure, I wanted to blow the, not make the image bigger, but I wanted to blow the screen up bigger so I could check. I sent them over to Canvas and they were fine. So I'm not sure really whether that helps you or not, but anyway. Right, so what's Caroline saying? No one I scanned in, my friend asked. She hasn't got a ScanNCut and she likes something I scanned. Okay. I think the simple answer is no. You could probably print it and take it into something like Inkscape and convert it. I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, I have to have a think about that one, Caroline. Hi, Tanya. Right, it's nearly 5 o'clock and there's quite a few people here. Ellen, hi Ashley, Ellen here. First time taking part in a live chat. I was the one who made the rain. But yes, and they're all posted now, aren't they? They all. That reminds me, actually, I want to say, I did say it on Wednesday, but I just want to say another thank you. Loads and loads and loads of you now are sending me pictures of the things that you're making. You know, a lot of the stuff you're sending me pictures of things you're making with techniques and things I'm showing you here on a Sunday or on a Wednesday, which is just brilliant. I love it, honestly. It really warms my heart knowing that you're all out there now trying and having a go. People are sending me things that, you know, haven't been done in one of my tutorials, but you're being encouraged to use your machines just by watching one of my tutorials, which is also amazing. So I'm literally saving all the photographs that you're sending me, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them in a blog post every so often. So up to, I think I scheduled the blog post on Friday, and then I went in yesterday and just slightly amended it to add a couple more photographs in that I received yesterday. But basically I'm saving them all in folders, and I'm going to put them all on my blog in a blog post to show everybody else what you're all making. So I scheduled one for Saturday, so all your photographs up to Saturday, if you've sent me anything, should be in a blog post, but I've since had about 8 more, so they're all going to go in the next blog post. So if you've sent me a picture and I've not shown it over the weekend on my blog, it's probably because it's going to go in the next round of photographs, if that makes sense. But I will keep showing them because it's encouraging everybody else to, you know, get going with the machine. Right, where are we? Where I'm up to? Linda's saying, yes, it was me. I've just got your last email. Okay, that's fine. Barbara's saying, hi, everyone. Dawn's saying, I'm here. Lisa, hello, everyone. Christine, happy Sunday, everyone. Heidi, first time in for a live. Oh, welcome, Heidi. Let's hope I don't mess up then and, and let you down. Because they can be a bit hit and miss these Sundays. That's what we love. You give us our mojo back. Thank you. Hi Suzanne, hello Tony, hi. Right, I'm just going to plug in my phone just in case the battery, it might wobble a minute, just in case the battery decides it's going to go down quick on me with me filming. Right, what I want to kind of show you today is, I know a lot of you have bought the ScanNCut for fussy cutting because you message me and tell me, and then you also go on to say, but I've since realised since watching your YouTube channel and everything that you can use the machine for so much more, which is true. You can. We all know that now, don't we? You know, over the last few weeks, what have we done? We've cut card, I did some vinyl, didn't I, on a scrapbook page a while ago. We've done foam, we've done felt, you know, all sorts of things. So yes, it can be used for lots of things, but its main function, if you like, I think, is for fussy cutting stamped images. Now, sometimes we stamp something and we want to cut it out with our machine, and it can give us a problem. And, you know, we can spend ages trying to rectify it. And I've even done videos showing you how you can kind of draw in a pencil line to you know, to fill in any gaps to help you get a better scanned outline. And they're on my channel. I did one, I think I've done one this year. But sometimes you might want to mass produce something, and every time you want to use that particular stamp, let's say, that may have caused you a problem, you might not necessarily want to go through all that, you know, fuss of drawing in lines. Let me just show you this. So, for instance, this is a new stamp set that I've got from Stampin' Up in the last few days, because as you may or may not know, I'm also an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And this stamp set's called Playful Pets. It's absolutely adorable. It's got dogs and cats in it, and it's just brilliant. And this dog here, I wanted to cut, and I wanted to make several of it. So I've got like 5 cards here, all the same. And in fairness, this one was fairly easy. There are a couple of breaks in the outline of the black line which I filled in. But again, if I stamped this, say 5 times on a piece of white card, I don't necessarily want to have to go through all 5 stamped images and join in, you know, a little break in a line here, or a little break, you know, in a line down here. So a little trick that I saw, and I honestly, it was ages and ages ago, and it was a Stampin' Up, and she used a punch, and I thought we can do that with our ScanNCut. So that's what I'm going to show you today, how you can do something that will make your life easier for the next time you want to use a stamped image that may have caused you a problem first time round, if that makes sense. And just while I'm showing you, I'll show you the cats as well. So these were all cut with the ScanNCut machine. And again, I've got several of them. So just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to use a different stamp set. The stamp set I'm going to use now is called Jar of Flowers, and it's got these mason jars in it, and it's got essentially 4 main flower images, which I think are meant to kind of represent the different seasons. And just to save a little bit of time, I've cut a piece of card and I've already stamped it. Okay, rather than you have to sit and watch me stamp this. And then I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'll move the camera. Just let me catch up on any quick messages that I might be missing. Love that it's real, makes me continue if I struggle. What is that when I mess up, Caroline? Hello everyone, bit late, love it, so useful. He's cute, too cute, they're lovely, very nice cards. Right, fab. So, this stamped image, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this. It's not particularly stamped brilliantly, but I can see the outline. But if you can see, there's a break in the line here. These little bits here at the top, one of them is kind of attached to the flower, but there's a break next to it, and none of the others are. And, you know, there's just little breaks in it, and you've kind of got to look at your stamped images, and you've got to give them a really close eye. Now, this, when I tried it the other day, did scan, but it also had some weirdness going on the inside of the scan. And the reason for that is because of these little breaks, because basically when it goes through the scanner and comes back out, it's looking for a contrast. And obviously I've got a black ink on white paper here, which is a nice good contrast, and it will try and pick up. But every time it finds a gap, it will kind of want to go into that gap, and then sometimes it might not pick up the whole outline at all. Sometimes it picks it up, but then you kind of get weird things going on within the middle of your image. And if I wanted to mass produce this without having to keep messing about with it every time, I basically want a nice outline all around this particular design. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got myself a black pen. Now in a video that I did on my channel, as I say, I can't even remember when I did it, I think it was this year, I used a pencil. I'm just using a black pen here because for close-up work now I need to wear glasses, and the black pen might just help me see it a little bit better. So what I'm going to do, I'm looking around the outside edge of this design, and I'm looking for any breaks in the pattern, and I'm going to draw them in with a black pen. So I'm literally just going to keep drawing. So there's a little break here, but because this line is coming round, I shouldn't need to fill that one in. But where this flower bit comes here, it's not quite touching. So I'm going to fill that in. And then there's another little gap here on the flowers. So I'm just going to draw that in. and then that should continue around there. Then there's a break here. As I say, I'm not sure how well. I'm going to see if I can zoom you in, but I don't know whether I can. I don't think I can. Oh, maybe. Has it got... Just excuse me hand and... Okay, it's gone in a little bit more, hasn't it? So, I'm literally looking at this design and I'm looking at the outline only, okay? And I'm filling in. I'll catch up with any comments in a minute. I've just seen Charlotte say that's better. Okay, so I'm just working my way around, and wherever I can see a gap, I'm going to just kind of draw it in with my black pen. Now just let me turn this over and make sure, yeah, it is drawing. So I'm going to work my way around. As I say, this might be a bit tedious the first time you do it, but once I've shown you in a minute what it's going to produce and then what you can do with it, you won't have to do this again, okay? So I'm going to keep going round. I can see there's a little break there. I'm trying to keep this so you can see it in the camera, but that I can see it as well. And that's not always that easy. So I'm literally just basically joining up the lines. Now, I may not get this all first time. I may have to, you know, once it's scanned, I might look at it and think, no, it doesn't look right. And I might have to come back and look where there's any strangeness going on in the scan and, you know, fill the lines in again. But once you get this right and you make this mask, for want of a better word, you're done. So what I'm going to do, some of these have got holes in these little bits here. They've got holes in the bottom and they're not all attached to each other. But I'm kind of just drawing a little line in. And I might even put a line there, because I'm not going to use this one for a card, so it doesn't matter if I draw on it. I'm going to join that up and then I'll try and give you a close-up in a minute of what I'm doing, and then hopefully when you see it, it will make some sense. So like these leaves here are not touching, and I think I may have got it. So let me just bring it a little bit closer now. Just got to get me angles right. So basically what I've done, as much as I can see, oh, I've just spotted one. Where, it's back to front this, isn't it? Hang on, I've just spotted one here somewhere. Right, so what I'm going to do, I've basically gone around the outside, and like where all these little tiny dots are at the top here that weren't touching anything, I've kind of joined one of those up, and then this would come round. I need to put a little line in there to continue that. Hopefully it's going to pick it up as an outline, okay? So let me just turn it back round. I've just spotted that one there that needs filling in. And that needs to touch that. So hopefully this will give you an idea. And then, right, I'm going to put this on. I've got my mat loaded onto my machine. I'm going to turn the camera around in a minute. Let me just get this on here for now. Find my spatula. My machine's gone into sleep. Right, I'm going to just, hang on if you get motion sickness, I'm just going to turn you round ever so slightly in the hope that you're going to get to be able to see my machine. Just give me one more minute and then I'm going to right, which way do I need to turn you? Okay. So you can see the screen. I can see the screen. I'm watching it on my iPad as well. That's where I'm reading all your comments. Do you know, I'm absolutely boiling hot. I'm just going to have a drink of my water. Judy, yes it would. You could just completely draw around it with a pencil, you know, close-ish to the edge. You could do that as well. I'm just, you know, showing you this way, but yes, you could. Patty's put, I've tried that technique, however, I can't seem to have an even border. Okay, yeah, maybe that would be a drawback if you're drawing it in yourself. At least doing it this way, you're following the design, aren't you? So, you know, try it both ways, have a play with it. This is the way I do it, but I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm just showing you a technique. Karen's saying, hi Ashley and everyone, missed the beginning. It's okay, don't worry Karen. I need to unzoom. Do I? You should be able to see my screen. Don't worry about not seeing the card on the mat at the moment. I want you to be able to see my screen. Hi Ellen. Caroline's saying, no, it's okay. Leslie Warner, no. Okay. I missed the beginning too. Don't worry, Carol. It's looking good. Yes, that's great. Okay, right, perfect. We're sticking with this. So, that piece of card I've just shown you, I've literally stuck to my mat, and now you're looking at my screen. So, I'm going to go to Scan. I'm going to go to Scan to cut data. And I'm going to say Start and let that go through. Now, yesterday I was on YouTube, but secretly, and I was trying out this camera angle to see if it was any better. And I was able to zoom in, which for some reason I've not been able to do in past weeks. And I was able to get to see the screen a little bit better. So that's why I'm hopeful now that this little setup I've got here is better for everybody. Charlotte's saying screen spot on. Mandy, no, it's great. Oh, fab. So at least something's right. So I'm just waiting for this to recognise. Can see screen perfectly. So everyone seems to be saying that this is better, which is good. Lord knows how it's going to be when the weather changes and the sun or the grey nights come, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, as they say. So I'm just going to bring in my machine ever so slightly. Let me just hope you don't go out of shot. Okay, right, so on the screen now you can see my white piece of card and you should see the black of this stamped image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the first option, which is outline, because all I want is for the machine to give me an outline around this stamped image. Because when I stamp things on cards, like this one here, the dog, just waiting for the screen to catch up. Hang on, where are we? There. I like to have this white image around the edge because somebody once told me that if you have a bit of an outline around the edge of your stamped image, that your eye is automatically drawn to, say, in this case, the black line, and you don't, I mean, yes, I can see that white image now because I'm pointing it out to myself and to all of everybody else, but your kind of eye is naturally drawn to the edge of the stamp rather than the edge of the card, if that makes sense. And that's how I like to have my stamped images. Cal is saying, hi Ashley, just found out how to log in. I usually watch later. Thanks for all your help. You're welcome, Cal. I find it gets better results when I calibrate the ScanNCut first. Okay, Lisa, to be fair, very, very rarely. I've never calibrated this, and on my CM900, I think I only did it once or maybe twice. I think one of those times was for a video. But yeah, I mean, you know, it depends how you craft. It depends if you move your machine around a lot. You know, you might need to calibrate it. It makes it pop, exactly, Leslie. That's what someone said to me. It kind of makes it pop from the page, and you kind of don't see the extra bit of white outline. Are you scanning in black and white or colour? Black and white by the look of it on my screen up here. Who's just asked me that? Christine, okay? So now I'm not saying that this is going to work this time. This is the process I work through. So I'm going to choose outline and let it process. And obviously because I'm not using a scanning mat, it's picking up all the cut lines and everything on my mat. So I'm going to drag in the red handles to kind of isolate what I want my outline to be. So I'm kind of saying to the machine, look, this is what I want you to concentrate on. And I can see now I've got an outline. Don't know how good it is from the angle I'm sat at, but I can see I've got an outline. So I'm going to say preview. And it looks okay. So I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to save it into the machine. Now I've already cut all the flowers in this stamp set, but I just wanted to go over this with you, and then I'm going to show you another one which I'm hoping will be a little bit more easier, that you don't have to maybe add an outline to, but I just kind of want to show you the good and the bad, if that makes sense. Mandy G's saying lovely close-ups. Okay, brilliant. So it's saying to me, it's saved it into the machine's memory. It's file number 125, so I'm going to say okay. So now I can hit the home button. I can say okay. I'm not going to unload this from the mat. If I move my machine back, it's still here on my mat. Okay, still sat there. So you know there's no trickery, it's there. Just going to bring you back in. And then this time I'm going to go to retrieve data, because I've saved it into the memory of the machine, haven't I? So I'm going to say from the machine, I'm going to hit the downward facing arrows, which lets me jump to the last page. The two double arrows on the SDX lets you jump to the last page. And on the CM, I think you can do similar, I can't remember. So file number 125, that's the file I've just saved. I'm going to zoom in, and I can see, and it looks okay. I'm going to zoom into 400%, and it all looks okay. I'm not moving it, I'm just zooming in just to get a better view of it. So I'm going to say okay, okay again, and then this time I'm going to say select and cut. Now, as I said to you before, I wouldn't be using this image with all the drawn in lines, but I want to cut it out because I want the negative. And it'll all hopefully make sense in a few more minutes. I'm going to say start. And if I've got this card on my mat properly, it should cut out and we should be fine. Oh, stop. I forgot to do something. Okay, I'm going to backtrack. Sorry, I've completely forgot to do something. I'm actually cutting on the line now, and I don't want to do that. I said we want to add the outline. Come on, where were you all? Weren't you shouting at me, add the outline? I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to say quick cutting, okay. I'm going to go back, and before I say cut, I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to Object Edit, and I'm going to add an offset, okay? And I'm going to use 0.06 and say okay. Now, this is where the CM differs. You will add your offset and it'll just make yours bigger, which is fine. It will work exactly the same. You can do this on any model machine. On the SDX, it gives me an offset but keeps the original outline. So the one that's selected should be the original outline that I scanned. So I'm going to drag that out of the way, okay? And then if I click on the size, it says it's 1.81 inches high. And if I click on this one without moving it, and go to the size, it's 1.93, so I know that that's the offset. I usually always check, but you don't have to. So this one down here, which was the original scanned outline, I'm going to say OK and centre the rubbish. And say OK. So I'm left with the offset around my original stamped image. Now I can cut. So I can say OK. I'm going to save it because I've made the cut line bigger. I'm going to save it to the machine and it's going to say to me, do you want to overwrite the first one that you scanned or do you want to save it as a new file? Now for me, I would only ever stamp this design and have the white edge, the bigger white edge. I wouldn't stamp it and cut it directly on the black line. So I'm going to say overwrite. So all that it's going to do, it's going to overwrite that file number 125 to make it that 0.06 bigger, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say OK, now I can cut it. So I'm going to say OK, select and cut and start. And now I'll try and catch up on your comments. I'm absolutely boiling. It's so hot and humid here today. I've answered, are you scanning in black and white? Mandy G said, I thought it was deliberate and you'd added the offset next time. No, I've made a mistake. Told you I can't get through a Sunday without doing something wrong. Heidi's saying, I am having problems with using SVG files and resizing to an A2 size card. When I resize, it becomes too small to cut properly. What am I doing wrong? I don't know, Heidi, but sometimes if you use an SVG file, they come up smaller. Somebody actually sent me an SVG file a while ago of a box and was having the same problem. It was meant to be an 8x8 box, and when she opened the file, it was like about 2x2. So basically what I did with hers, and then I explained how to do, and if you're on here, I'm really sorry, I can't remember who it was, but basically open it in Canvas, group it if it's ungrouped, size it to the size that you want it to be, and then you should be fine. Other than that, Heidi, if you've got the SVG file that's, you know, in its original form and you want to send it to me for me to have a look at, I'll see if I can have a look at it and see if I can help you out. Right, like you, I didn't think of it till you started cutting. Charmaine's saying it's freezing. Oh, freezing cold. Phew, I thought you meant the screen was fusing. Okay, right, so that has finished cutting, so I'm going to say okay. So now I can unload the mat. So I'm just going to move the machine back, unload this mat, and now I'm going to peel away. This is what I've got, which is what I want. I know you might think I've gone bonkers, but this is actually what I want. And there is the original, all cut out. Got an extra bit of a paper going on here. Hang on a minute. In fact, what it's done, it's tried to cut. There must have been somewhere where I'd not, sorry, you can't even see this. There must have been somewhere where I've not joined up the line and it's tried to come back in on itself. But not to worry, that's fine, because I don't need that anyway. So now I'm going to, sorry, I don't know if I was a bit quick with that. That's what I'm after. This piece of card with that hole in. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is show you, just excuse me while I find all my bits of, this is, I need to push this back a bit more. I don't want to push it too far back so it disappears off the end of my desk. This is the jar of flowers. See if I can angle you down a little bit more. Okay, you can see now. I can see it. So this is the jar of flowers stamp set. Let me move them out of the way. And the just done with that bit of card? I've lost the bit of card already. Oh my days, what have I done with it? Anyway, not to worry. So these are all my masks for this stamp set. And you can't always tell with your stamps which way round they are. So for instance, these flowers here are all the right way up. That would be how they would stamp, okay? But when you open the packet, they're not in that orientation. So this one, for instance, goes that way with these flowers at the bottom. But because it's photopolymer and there's no picture of it, you can't always tell. So what I've done, I've numbered each one of these stamps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've made a mask for each. So this is number 1. This is number 1 and the jar cut directly on the line with no offset at all. This is the jar and number 1 with the offset. And so I've put an arrow showing that that's the way up it stamps. So that when I look for number 1, which in the case is upside down, I know that the stamp goes that way and not this way, if that makes sense. So these are all the elements. That's number 2, which is that one. And then you've got 3 and 4, which are these. And it was number... Which one is it I've just drawn? It was number 3, wasn't it? Yeah. So this is my mask for number 3. So in the machine, if I go back home and say OK, I've just seen a comment that said, is that where it cut before you cut the offset? Yeah, on this one, these two were cut directly on the line, no offset added at all. But these, the rest of them have added an offset. So in my machine now, I have got number 3, the one I've just made, here, so as not to confuse you, sorry. This is stamped image number 3 from this stamp set. Okay? And I've got that now saved into the machine. So I'm going to find a piece of white card. This will make sense, hopefully, in a minute. You're probably all thinking I'm barking mad and I've cut a big hole in a piece of card and you don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to load a fresh piece of white card onto my mat. You can all still see the screen, can't you? Because I'm looking at it on my iPad. I'm going to go to retrieve data. I'm going to go to the machine, to the last page, because I've only just saved this design and it always goes to the last page, and it was file number 125. And if you remember, I resaved it with the 0.06 offset. So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to do a background scan now of this fresh piece of card I've just put on my mat and start. So Alison's saying, you've got me to do my stamping now, makes so much more sense and so easy when you know how. Thanks, you're welcome. I'm hoping to learn about this. I'm new to card making and stamping, okay? Ashley, please, you've brought in Stampin' Up. Yeah, I've been lacking the Stampin' Up lately, haven't I, Karen? But I got a whole host of new product the other day, and I'm hopefully trying to, you know, get some projects done. Right, so now on the screen I can see my white piece of card that's already had things cut out of it in the past, and here is now my file, cutting file that I've just brought up from the machine. So I'm trying to position it kind of at the top of this white piece of card, and it looks as though it's going to be okay. I'm going to say okay, select and cut and start. And I'm just going to have another drink of my water because I'm literally melting. Alison's saying, tonight will go smoothly, positive thinking, doing great. Yes, we can see it, Linda's saying, so that's fab. Right, okay. Let me move this back a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this piece of card. This is just a piece of card I've been cutting other things from, so I don't need that, that's just scrap. And now I've got this. So let's unload the mat. Right, I'm just going to move you back. In fact, I'll try not to move you. Let's see if I can move myself rather than having to move you. Let's try and make a bit more room on my desk. And find the stamp set. I'm just going to try and angle you down. I'm trying not to move you too much, so I'm working at a funny angle, but anyway. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I need some ink. Right, so this was the mask I cut originally from the stamped image, okay? And I know this is the one I've only just cut because there's no writing, no number or anything on it telling me which stamp set it is. And then this is the actual cutting file that's saved in my machine of the original stamped image, but with the 0.06 offset. So what I'm going to do now, this is a stamp positioning tool. Now you can do this by eye if you've not got one of these. You just need to be right over it with your stamped image on a block. But I've got this, so I'm going to show you what this is all about. So I'm going to bring in the mask. And I'm just going to position it in my Stamper Artist, this is called. This is a Stampin' Up stamp positioner, but there's, I think Tim Holtz does one, doesn't he? There's the Misty was the original one. I've got a magnet here. I'm going to hold this piece of card down. I think I need to try and angle you down just a little bit more so you can see. Sorry, I don't want to make you sick. I'm just trying to move my camera down a little bit more in the hope that you can see. Okay, I'm just going to have to turn it round for a minute. I'm just putting my stamps under there just to hold this platform a minute. So this is the mask, okay? This is what we've just cut out. Heidi, go to my website, applelover53.co.uk, and go to the contact page, and you can contact me via email. I don't use Facebook a lot, so it's easier if you contact me by my website. So this mask now, let me move you in, sorry. I'm going to put this mask is what I'm going to stamp on, okay? I'm just going to put it to one side for a minute. So I've got this mask with the hole in the middle. I'm going to find my stamp, which I didn't get out, from in here, number 3. And I'm going to position this stamp in this hole. And because it's been cut at that 0.06, it just kind of drops in. I'm going to close up my lid and press to pick the stamp up, okay? And because I've got the magnet holding this piece of paper down, hopefully it's not going to move. Now I'm going to bring in the cutout mask, if you like, and I'm going to drop that back in here. Let me make sure I've got it in the right way around. Okay, can you see that? I'm just going to bring in some ink, and I'm going to ink up this stamp. I'm going to bring this over and press. Just give it a nice good press. I'm going to lift it up. Now it doesn't matter that the stamped image is going to come with it because the mask is still held in place with the magnet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my finger on here and I'm just going to try and lift it up cleanly without smudging it. Now you can see it's not stamped properly, but that's not a problem because I can drop it back in, then I can get the ink and I can ink it up again. In fact, let me put that under there to give it a bit of pressure. It's probably why I've not inked it up properly. Give it a good inking and put the lid on my ink, because if there's an open ink pad on my desk, I will stick my finger in it. So this has gone back into the space of the mask, and then I'm just going to bring it down and stamp it again. Give it a good press, lift up, try and get the stamped image to stay behind this time, and there it is. So I'm going to move the magnet out of the way. I'm going to move my mask out of the way because that's for next time. And then there's my stamp now already on the white border. Now I can see I've just not got the bottom bit here, and that will be my fault for when I put this in here. I don't want to get ink all over my fingers, but hang on, let me lift this up. I'm not sat directly over this because of the way my camera and everything is, but when I put this in here, I didn't position this properly. I've probably pushed this, because remember the gap is 0.06 bigger than the actual stamp itself. I've probably pushed it more to the top or more to the bottom, and I've not got the even gap around it. If I was sat over it, I'll show you some in a minute that I've done, I'd get that lined up better. But you kind of get the gist of where I'm going. You put all the effort in to sorting your outline out first, save your mask and save your shape into your machine. And then every time you want to come and stamp this design now, if you were mass producing it like I did with the dog cards, if you wanted to make 6 of these, rather than having to keep stamping it and drawing in those lines, you literally have this mask. Let me stick that back on there before I get covered in ink. You have the mask. I've cut these pieces of paper to 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and they fit then perfectly into my case with all my stamps. So I've got all these masks, all numbered. Let me turn them all over. So I know which mask goes with which stamp. If I wanted to do number 2, I would open up my positioner, put number 2 in, clamp it down with my magnet, get number 2 from my stamp box and pop that in. Pick it up, ink it up, get my cut out from the machine and drop it in and stamp it. And what I've done, as I say, I'm keeping, that's the one we've just done. I'm keeping all the ones with the numbers on in with the stamps, and then what I've done, I've cut some already and I'm keeping them in a plastic bag in with the stamp set. So if some I've coloured, there's one I've already coloured just so I can see how it looks. That's number 2 of the stamp set. That's number, I think that's number 4, but I've got blanks. So the next time I want to cut or stamp some of these, I've got the blanks all ready, and the blanks just drop in to the masks. So that's like a little trick for save you having to keep, you know, fixing a stamped image every time. Let me just get some wipes and just give this stamp a quick wipe, because I'm just going to get covered in ink otherwise. Ugh, don't like that noise. So does that, I can see Alison saying it makes sense. Linda, very clever, brilliant, very clever. You could batch cut. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to get at, Leslie. You could batch cut all the shapes. Now what I've done, another quick, I'm going to show you another one in a minute. Let me just put this stamp away. So that's, I've put them in the wrong order. That's number 3. See what I mean? You can't tell when you look at photopolymer stamps, because they're clear, they don't have this like sticky labels on the back, you know, with a diagram, so it's easy to get them the wrong way around. So that goes in there. That's why I've numbered them and put an up arrow so I know that's how they're meant to be stamped, because they're not in that same orientation in the case. So you could batch cut a load of your shapes, keep them all in with your stamps. I've put them in a little plastic bag for the simple reason, just in case there's still a bit of ink residue or anything on the stamps, and then I drop them in and they'll all, you know, get dirty. So that's how I'm going to start keeping, let me move you back up. That's how I'm going to start keeping my, you know, some of my stamp sets from now on, with the masks in and some spares, all in a folder. And then what I did, let me just come back, I'm going to bring this back in. There it is. Okay, I'm going to go to the home button and say OK to delete all patterns. And then what I did, I'm going to go to patterns. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to retrieve data, to the machine. I'm just going to scroll to the last page and see if there's one, the one I'm going to do next. So this one now that I'm bringing up is prized peony. And I've done the same thing with this. In this, there are like 3 main elements, and then there's some leaves which I'm not too bothered about, and there's some words. I've already done these 2. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do because I save them all on the same mat. And what I've done is, once I've got them all onto one mat, so the jar of flowers, I've now got all those images and the jar all on one mat. And so I know what it is. I saved the mat onto my USB stick. I then put the USB stick into my computer and I renamed it all so that at least I know when I load the USB stick in, I've created a folder that's called like Stamping Up Stamps. And then inside it, I've got a mat that's called Jar of Flowers. And then this one will be Prized Peony when I do it. But I just want to say, let me just see if there's any other comments. One thing I want to mention as well, sorry to keep moving the machine backwards and forwards, but I'm trying not to move you on the camera, but I'm trying to give myself work, so some workspace so that you can see. Another quick tip, and I don't know how well this works, because I've not tried it, but again I saw this some time ago and this was on YouTube I think. If you've not got a stamp positioner like I've just shown you, what you can do is, these are stamp cases that I sell in my Stampin' Up shop, but effectively they're like DVD cases, I think they are. That you can probably buy, you know, in supermarkets or maybe online. You could try and make your own stamp positioner. As I say, I've not tried it, I've only seen it on YouTube many years ago when the Misty first came out. You could put, say, a piece of foam in here, you know, something like we cut last week, a piece of fun foam. You could put your mask in. Now, if I was doing it with one of these like DIY positioners, if you like, I'd put my card in and I'd tape it here with washi tape at the top because you've not got any magnets to hold it down. And then I'd put my piece of blank card, then I'd put my stamp in there. Let me get, sorry, this is a bit like backwards and forwardsy tonight, isn't it? Doesn't seem as though I'm very organised, but I kind of want to try and give you as much information as possible. Let me move my positioner out of the way. So if you were going to try and make a homemade one, put your card in, stick it down with a bit of washi tape at the top there, because as I say, you've got no magnet. Put your stamp in. This isn't even the right, oh yeah, it's the wrong way around. Put your, no, I've not got the right stamp, have I? No, have I? Hang on, is it upside down? Oh, for goodness sake, hang on a minute. Let me get me proper number 3. Right, number 3. What we're doing wrong, people? Have I got the wrong stamp? No, right, sorry, start again. Put your piece of card in your homemade positioner. Stick it down with some washi tape to hold it in place. Get your stamp, put your stamp into your gap. And because you've got a piece of, say, fun foam underneath this, this is going to be raised up a bit, okay? Close your lid and press. Now this isn't probably going to work because I can't press hard enough because I've not got a piece of foam underneath, but let's see if I can get it. Oh yeah, it's picking it up. Pick your stamp up This would be stuck down with your washi tape so it isn't going to move. Put your spare blank in there, ink this up, and then do that. Does that, yeah? Yeah, you're all saying turn the card over now, yeah. Yeah, you could put your funky foam in, exactly. The foam that we used last week, that would raise, because this is sat down and you want it raised up so that when you pull this over, you can pick your stamped image up. So that's just a little tip if you've not got a positioner, okay? Right, let me go on. The other thing I want to say is, you don't always have to do it in black and white. This was a mask I made for the dog, and I've stamped this on pink card and cut it out and made a mask. So long as there's a contrast between what you're stamping in and your background, it doesn't have to be on white card. So if you've got, like, you know, we all buy card, don't we? And sometimes you buy it in a pack and there's some colours that you just don't like. Make your masks out of that old card that you're probably not going to use for, you know, your best projects. And I've, as I say, cut mine 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and the reason I've cut them that size is so they fit inside my stamp cases. And these are Stampin' Up stamp cases. So I've just kind of cut them so, you know, I'm utilising what I've already got. I don't have to keep them separately. And if I can get a couple of designs on one piece of card, I will do. But like the jar of flowers where I had the 4 designs and I had the jar, I just cut them on different pieces of card. Because I was trying it out, I was experimenting, trying to see if it would work or not. So that's that one. Right, let me catch up with what you're saying. Let me have a drink and then we'll try and do the last one of Prized Peony. So yeah, Leslie's saying you can put funky foam in the base and then a magnetic sheet. Yeah, that would probably work, a magnetic sheet. I didn't think of that. Or if you've not got magnetic sheets, tape it down so it doesn't move. Because obviously you want that piece that's got the hole in it to stay in place, don't you? So that you know that your solid piece is always going to be in that position. What I like about your live shows, Ashley, is you're showing us all how versatile the ScanNCut is. Every YouTube live, something new. It's fine. This is what it's all about. And like I say, I know a lot of you bought the machine for fussy cutting, and a lot of people tell me they struggle with it, and you know, I do. Sometimes I try to scan something and it doesn't work, and I have to, you know, draw a line around it and make it work. But why do all that work constantly every time you want to use that stamp when you can invest some time? I mean, yesterday, I must admit, I spent, I don't know, I wasn't rushing, I was messing about, playing. I spent a couple of hours, you know, doing these. Some of them scanned perfectly, no problem. The one I showed you today, I had to fill in. One of the other ones, I think it was this one with the tulips on, this one I had to draw a line across the bottom to fill all that in. But all that work that I spent yesterday has now saved me loads of time in the future for if I want to mass produce, let's say, the sunflower stamp, because I can go into the machine or onto a USB stick, wherever I've saved this, I can mass produce a cutout of this sunflower. I can position my mask in my stamp positioner, and I can just keep dropping those cut pieces in, stamp them, take them out, put the next one in, and do it that way. So, you know, the initial investment in time in making the masks will save me time down the line. Right, what else are you saying? Ashley, you're a gem of the greatest worth. I am grateful for all you. Oh, you're welcome. It's lovely, Caroline, that I'm able to, you know, share with you all, and we're all learning, aren't we? And I make mistakes, and you know, you're there to help me out and that kind of thing. And seem to make more mistakes in these lives, but that's me, that's crafting, and that's what we all do, isn't it? So Alice and Dee saying, but I was told I need a scanner. Thankfully, I did the right thing. No, it's all here. This is what this is all about, the machine with the scanner. What problems might you run into if you don't cut your something mask with an offset? Charlotte, you don't have to use the offset. You can just scan the item in like I showed you. Where's number 1? Because that was the first one I ever did. This one is the stamp of the jar and one of the flowers, and I did ScanNCut data exactly the same. I saved it into the machine, I called it up, and I cut it directly on the line, the outside line, no offset whatsoever. It's just I prefer to have the offset layer. That's just me. Also, I think by having the offset layer, when you then come back to use this, you know, in a month or a year or whenever, and you put your stamp into this gap, you've got a little bit of leeway because the stamp fits in, you know, a little bit better. But you could just drop it in. I mean, which one's this? It's this one, I think, number 1. So let me see if you can see it on my desk. If I put it down there, just waiting for you to catch up. This is number 1, this is the number 1 stamp, and that's just fitting in there perfectly because there's no offset, there's no wiggle room, it fits in. It's entirely up to you. Try it directly on the line or try it with an offset. Okay? Right, let me put this back. Let me put my masks back so I don't lose them, because I'll probably scoop them all up and throw them in the bin. Right, we're going to go to this one next. Right, what else is saying? Good as I was concerned, the stamp might not drop in as easily. Yeah, it does, because you've cut it either on the line or with a little bit of leeway. And as I say, if you sat over it, when you put your card that you cut from the machine in, when you put your stamp into the mask, the one with the hole in, you can see better where the outline is. I'm literally sat at about a 30-degree angle to my machine with the camera pointing at the machine, and I'm trying not to keep moving you backwards and forwards. So I'm kind of working on this peculiar angle, and that's why I didn't get my stamp lined up completely properly. But I've got cards here that I use the same principle on, stamping directly onto card. And as I say, the dogs are all done in the same way, using that mask technique. Right, let me just see what you're saying. Would love a demo of how to use these reversible stamps, Ashley. Okay. Well, yeah, I can do that. In fact, I may do a YouTube video on jar of flowers. Do you mean just showing how to stamp them, Karen? Because basically, yeah, you just stamp them and then turn them over and stamp the other side. But, right, Patty's saying, for mass producing, could you duplicate the saved file, stamp the image several times, background scan? You could, but that's even more work, Patty, because basically you've then got to drag all the images into the saved outline. Doing it this way, making your mask and just cutting your blanks from your machine and dropping your blanks into your gap on your mask is a lot easier. Specifically if you've got a positioner, because it's foolproof. You just drop it in, pick it up, ink it and fill it in. Lynn is saying, sorry Ashley, keep thinking you start at 7, we'll watch. Don't worry Lynn, it's fine. Charlotte's saying all that contortion keeps me flexible. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do now, prized peony, as I say, I've already done 2. I'm going to get the 3rd stamp out of the box and I'm going to stamp it on here. Now you see with these, you can see better because these are what they call the cling stamps, and they've got the you know, the labels with the outline, and with the photopolymer that's why they can be difficult to see. So I'm going to just bring in just make sure you can see. I'm waiting for it to catch up. Let me move you down a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to bring in this piece of mask that I've already made. And I've got my arrow on it showing it's the right way up, and I've not numbered these because these are visible to be able to see from the stamps. I'm going to just put this in here and just anchor it down, and then I'm going to stamp this on this gap and hopefully do the same. So I'm going to position it in this gap here, because this way I've got all three on one mask. Whereas the others were bigger, some bigger designs, and I've got several masks, but it's whatever works for you. This piece of card, as I say, 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. If any of you have got Stampin' Up stamps in this kind of case and you want to do the same thing. So I'm just going to pick it up, ink it with some black ink, stamp it down. That looks nice, so that's fine. I'm going to bring in this grubby wipe and just wipe this stamp for now, because the minute I pick this up I'll get ink all over my fingers. I'm just going to take that off there, put that back in the box so I know where it is. Get my mask now, put this out of the way. Bring my ScanNCut mat back in. Right, I'm going to bring my machine in and just hopefully tilt you upwards so you can see the screen. I'm going to put this white card on this ScanNCut mat and just burnish it down. This one hopefully should be easy because this looks as though it's got a nice black outline around it. I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to go to scan. I'm going to do direct cut again, because the reason I'm doing direct cut is it enables me to save the scanned image into the machine, and I can then bring it back and add the offset. Okay. Sorry, scan to cut data is I can save the file and bring it back and add the offset. If I was just wanting to stamp an image and cut it out, then I'd use direct cut. I'm going to say start, scan this through. I'm just trying to catch up on the comments as well. Janet Cox is saying, have you ever done a video on cutting faux leather? No, because I haven't got any, Janet, but I do know that the Cricket sells some kind of faux leather, don't they? So once the shops start, I know the non-essential shops in the UK can open as from tomorrow, although I'm not going to be rushing to the shops anytime soon. But once I do, I will probably buy some faux leather. And I'm also hopefully going to get some heat transfer vinyl as well, and maybe do some heat transfer vinyl, that you can put on bags or clothing, that kind of thing. And this is still recognising, so I'm going to wait for that. You need your head over the image, but can't do it doing, yeah, exactly, Karen. That's what I mean. It's a lot easier when you come to, if you try this, and you put your stamp into that gap, you'll see what I mean. It's a lot easier when you're sat physically over it. I'm sat at this peculiar angle. Right, I can see my flower. I'm going to choose the offset, the outline. I'm going to drag the handles in just to isolate this one last flower. It's picking up some of the holes in the card, so I can see it there now. I'm going to say preview. There's a bit of nonsense there on the edge I don't want. I think it's picking up the cut lines of my mat. Okay, that looks okay. So I'm going to say okay. I'm going to save it into the machine. So at the moment, it's only saving a scanned image of the outline, just the specific outline of this flower, okay? Nothing extra, no added extra, literally the on the line of this flower. I'm going to say, okay, it's 126. I'm going to hit the home button and say, okay. Right, let me catch up before we go any further. I prefer the cling stamps, yeah, I do. Never thought of using stamps with my ScanNCut until now. Thank you for all what you show us. You're welcome, Tony. Is there a way to do it without the fancy positioning device? Yes, Charmaine, that's what I've just explained a few minutes ago, using like a DVD case. Or literally just get your cutout. Let me go back to my jar of flowers. Get your cutout like this and put this, you know, on your desk in front of you, and put your stamped image on top of it and pick it up with a block. You can do it, you just need to be right over it so you're seeing where you position it, okay? So you don't need the fancy tools, but I'm just trying to show you all different ways. Right, so where are we? Right, retrieve data. So I saved it into the machine. I'm going to go to the last page, 126, and see what we get. Now I can see when I bring it up, I've got some stray bits there, but that's perfectly okay, because what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say edit, and the tiny little bits it's also picked up there are the random bits, I think, that are the holes in the piece of card. So I'm going to use these arrows to select on one and delete it and say okay. And I'm just going to keep deleting all the little bits that I don't need. It's jumping to the next bit for me automatically. So I'm going to say okay. Now it's gone to that shape. I don't want to delete that because that's my flower. But these arrows are still lit up. So that means that there's still something else on this mat. And there shouldn't be, because I only want this outside. So I'm going to use the arrows, and there's a tiny little speck there that you can barely see with the naked eye, but it's there. I'm going to delete that and say okay. Now these two arrows are greyed out, so that means there's only one object on this mat, and that's what I want. So I'm going to go to Object Edit. I'm not going to forget this time. I'm going to go to the offset. I'm going to leave it at 0.06 and say okay. Now on the SDX model, as I say, it doesn't inflate the original one, it produces a duplicate for you. It produces an offset like it does in Canvas. So I'm going to drag, the one that's highlighted is the original one, the smaller shape, the one that cut directly on the the one that's scanned directly on the outside of the flower. So that's the one I want to get rid of. If you wanted to keep that one and not do the offset, then you don't have to do any of this. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to say okay. So now I'm going to say okay, okay, select and cut. And hopefully, if I've done it right, because I've not moved that design on the mat, didn't move it, did I? And because I've not unloaded the mat, it should cut out. But it doesn't matter if it doesn't. I can just put another piece of plain card in and cut it out and use that as my mask. But no, it's going to the design. I'm just going to have a quick drink because I'm melting. Caroline is saying, is there a good reason to buy the scanning mat? It depends. I used to have one for my CM machine and I did find it helpful. But if you're doing a lot of direct cut, then you don't need the scanning mat because you can't cut on it. But if you're going to be doing a lot of something like this where you're scanning and saving things, then a scanning mat would be helpful. And it just would save, like I've just had there, it picked up the flower, but it also picked up those three little things that I couldn't see until I brought it back onto the mat. So, you know, I don't believe in buying stuff unless you actually need it. So if it's something that you would use a lot and it was going to save you money in the long run, in not just necessarily monetary but in time wise, then yes. If it's something that you can make do with by using your regular mat, then no, you don't need one. Right, so I'm going to push this back. Alison's saying, love the idea of the CD case. Karen's saying something different every week. Leslie, you can use repositionable glue on an old craft mat so cutout doesn't move when you stamp it. Yeah, see all these good tips that people are throwing in. It's great for everybody. It's things that I don't think of as well, you know. Great tip on the greyed arrows. Okay, yeah, that's another thing learned. Okay, right, so my thing's rolling across my desk. So here is, can you see? I'm sorry, I don't want to keep moving you backwards and forwards and making you sick. So here's my mask, and because, as I say, there's only 3 main flower images on this, I'm able to get all my 3 on one and keep this one piece of card in my you know, with my stamps. Now in this particular case, because I didn't have to draw around it, I could use that because it's cut out perfectly with the border all the way around it, and I could colour that in and use it on a card. But again, let's bring another piece of scrapping from before. We'll put this piece of scrap card on here. Let's just bring you back in so you can see the machine. So it's saying finish cutting. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go back and I'm going to save it, because remember this is the one with the 0.06 offset. So I'm going to say save. I'm going to save it into the machine. And it's going to say to me, do you want to overwrite the original or save it as a new? I want to overwrite the original because I know I'm sounding like a parrot. As I keep saying, I want mine with the inflated 0.06 offset. So I'm going to say overwrite. And wait for it to save. And then I can catch up with what you're saying. Sandra is saying, I use the scanning mat to make pattern pieces slightly bigger when sewing for my baby granddaughter. It saves buying more sewing patterns. Yeah, as I say, the scanning mat does have its place, and it just depends on, only you know how you use your ScanNCut machine. If it's something that you think is worth investing in to save you time, then, and if you've got the cash to afford to buy it, then I would say buy it. If it's something that you don't use that often, then, there are workarounds like I'm showing you now using just a regular mat. So it's telling me it's saved it, 126. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to hit the home button. Okay to delete all patterns, yes. So I've literally got a piece of scrap card on my mat now. I'm going to go retrieve data from the machine. Scroll to the last page, find my pattern 126. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to do a background scan and scan this piece of scrap card in. Charlotte's saying very nice idea. Suzanne is saying I have made many stencils for my husband and he himself draws, and there was a scanning mat an advantage. Got quite a few masks made for my Stampin' Up stamps, but that's another live maybe. Can you use masking paper to cut masks? Yes, Heidi, I've shown how to do that. There's a video on my channel showing how I've made masks for stamping. Yes, on my channel. Right, I can see my scrap card. I'm going to bring up my little flower. I'm going to say okay, select cut. I'm going to say start because we've been on here like an hour and 20 minutes now. just going to move the machine back out of the way, unload this mat. So there's what I've just cut. There's the original one that I stamped on, and you can see they're the same size, so they've got the offset on. And then I'm just going to move you back round now, so just close your eyes for a few minutes if you get motion sickness while I just move you back round. I know that's still a bit close, but let me just close up the machine. Move this mat out of the way. So as I say, there are the two stamped images. So again, if I brought my stamp positioner in and I wanted to, make duplicates of this flower, I'd bring my mask in, position it. Where's the stamp set gone? I might have to zoom you back out. Let's hope I don't cut you off. Okay, that's a bit better now, isn't it? So here's my mask, and let's say I want to mass produce this flower. So I find my stamp, pop it in there, hopefully I'm getting it in a bit better than last time. It does move around because you've got that little bit of a leeway, but pick it up, drop my blank in, find my ink, ink it up, and stamp. And I'll just move this out of the way, move my mask out of the way, and there we go. Just need to grab a drink again. So I've answered, can you make masks? Thea's saying, I cut up the sides of a 12 by 12 scrapbook page envelope and stick it to my regular mat. Yeah. I tell you what I did the other day, and I've still got it on my desk. Let me just clean this off and put this away. I just want to show you one last thing about saving them. Just remind me, don't let me go without showing you. So if I put that away, put this back in here now, and there's my mask already in my folder. And again, like I say, all of that I would need to do is go into the machine and cut several of these out, and then I've got them all there to use. Now the other day when I was scanning something, I had trouble. It was one of the jar of flowers, I can't remember which one it was. It might have even been the one I've shown you today where I took a bit more time drawing the lines in. But what I did, I tried to cut it. So let's use this one. So I tried to cut it, and what it did, it cut, I don't know if it was this one or one of the others, but it cut out all the outline and it missed a tiny little bit in one corner. So what I did, rather than mess about doing it all again, I put a piece of dark card on my mat. Bring my mat in. And I put some masking tape at the top there to kind of hold it down. and then I put this back on. No, sorry, I didn't. Forget that. I'll tell you what I did. I put this piece of, it's just paper, this navy blue paper. I just stuck that to the mat. Then I took the mask and I positioned the mask so it was just above the top of this blue paper. And I stuck this down here because all this isn't stuck, is it? It's just sat on top of this paper. So I stuck it down here with washi tape. I sent it back through using ScanNCut data and it picked it up perfectly. And then I slid, because this was on tape, I was able to lift that up and take this bit out, if that makes sense, because this had like a hinge on it. And then I was able to, you know, just resave it. So that was like another kind of trick I did. But in the main, if you use, you know, a pencil or a black pen or whatever colour you're stamping in, try and get something that matches. Or if you're stamping in red and you've not got a red pen, do it in black. So long as the outline is a different colour to what you're stamping on, it should pick it up, irrespective of whether part of your design is in black and part of it is in red, let's say. But in the main, by filling in those gaps, it should work for you. Okay, now the last thing, I think I'm going to have to move you back round again, but let me just see if there's anything I've missed. I think I will be producing lots of Christmas trees. That's what I mean. Just do all the hard work one day in getting your masks made, and then the next time you can churn out all your cut designs. I mean, don't forget, I've only been showing you one image, like, you know, that the one I've just done, the little flower. You can bring that design up onto the screen and fill a piece of white card with as many as you can get on and cut them all out, and then you've got a stack of them ready to just stamp over as and when you need them. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie's saying another excellent tutorial. Ashley, what equipment do you use for using your phone as an overhead camera? I use an Archon mount. It's about £90. Quite a lot of YouTubers use it. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something like Archon professional mount or something like that, and it goes up and I can bring it over. You're going through that back door again, Ashley. I know. Right, I'm going to just move you around again. Sorry. Close your eyes. I just want to bring you back to the ScanNCut machine for one last thing. Might have to angle you up again a minute. Hang on. Right, so I'm just going to hit the home button and say OK. So I'm going to go to retrieve data and I'm going to go into the machine because that's where I initially save everything when I'm working on it. I'm going to scroll to the last page. So, prized peony. Consists of the three main flowers that I've made my mask for. As I say, I'm not bothered about the leaves or any of the sentiments. It's those three. And the last design is the one I've just done with you. So number 126. So I'm going to select that and say OK, and that's on my mat. So that's the flower I've just cut with you here. I'm going to go to Add, Retrieve Data from the machine, and I'm going to find the other two that were the mask I showed you originally. So I'm going to scroll to the last page again, and I can see that they're there, number 118, and I'm going to say OK. So now I've got all three elements, 1, 2, 3, on this mat. So I'm going to say save because I want to save them all together, because eventually what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this onto, save this again, but onto a USB stick rather than in the machine. And I'm going to go and upload it into my computer, and I'm going to name it Prize Peony and put it in the folder I've got on my USB stick called Stamping Up Stamps. Because, you know, if I come back to this in a year's time, I might not know what these shapes are at all, because obviously the machine doesn't get, there's no facility to give them a name in the machine. So I'm going to say save. I'm going to save into the machine. It's going to ask me, do I want to overwrite the last one, which I do, because I've got them all in one place now. So I'm going to say yes, overwrite. Leslie's saying don't forget to hit the thumbs up. That's lovely. There's 92 people on here now. Wow, amazing. So this time it's saying to me, yeah, it's number 126, which is what it was. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to hit the home button, say okay to delete all patterns. I'm going to come back to retrieve data from the machine, scroll to the last page. So there's file 126, and I can clearly see now it's got the 3 images. So that's the one I would keep. I don't need to keep file number 125 because that's the rows I just cut with you, and I don't need to keep file 118 because that's the original 2. So I would select this one, 125, and say send it to the rubbish, okay to delete. Then I would go to file 118, which is the 2 flowers on their own, and say delete and say okay. So I'm freeing up space in my machine, and I've got the 3 elements that are on this mask all saved now on one mat. Okay, so does that help? So Alison saying it went smoothly, Ashley, well done, thank you. Hubby up and about, must go. That's fine, Alison, don't worry. Sandra's saying thanks, Ashley, even when I think I already know how to do what you are showing us, I always learn lots. Oh, thank you. Hi, Susan. Red rubber stamp. With red rubber stamps, if you stamp your image first on the scrap paper, then put your mask around it, it makes the guesswork, it takes the guesswork out of it. Okay, so if you Ellen's saying Ashley learned lots. Rosemary, thank you, Ashley, for your very informative tutorial. Always an inspiration. Oh, lovely. Have a good evening to you too. Barbara's saying thank you for another excellent tutorial. You're so kind to us all, sharing all this info. It's fine. I just want you all to use your machines. And the more I can show you what I do with mine, the more hopefully you'll all get your ideas of how to use yours. That's all I'm trying to do, honestly. As I say, I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying that all the things I do are the only way to do stuff. They're certainly not. And that's what this is all about. But I show you the way I do stuff, and it might seem really long-winded, you know, winded to some of you, and you might have a better way, and that's what this is all about. You can tell me, you can tell everybody else, and we can all learn. Leslie's saying, how many mats can you save to your machine? I honestly can't remember. In the original CMB similar, I would have thought, but that's full mats worth of data, Leslie. That one then that I've just shown you was spread over 3 mats, so I've put them all onto one mat. Tony's saying learning so much, thank you, you're welcome. Caroline, amazing for so much more. Heidi, I learned so much, thank you, you're welcome, Heidi. Carol is saying thank you, great live. Mandy G, could you send me that one mat via Wi-Fi back to Canvas and name it? Yes, that's what I mean. You can send it and rename it, but the way I do it, I don't even put it in Canvas. Sorry, I was just reading another comment there. Yes, you can do. Mandy, what I'll do, I'll save this file number 126 when I go off air. I'll save it. In fact, I'll do it now while you're here, and then I'll show you on Wednesday if you're around. So I've got a USB stick here. Let's plug it into the machine, and then I'll try and catch up with what you're all saying before I go. Let's bring this back in. Thea saying thank you, Ashley, have to go. No problem, see you, Thea. Barbara saying thank you. For Pat Riley, great ideas, waiting for dull days to make these masks. No worries. Right, so I think we've got a bit of glare on the machine now. Was it better when I moved it? It's because the light's changing. No, that's not, that's worse. Right, let me just bring you in and let's just try and finish up on this. And then, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose mat number 126. I've got a USB stick in my machine. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to save these 3 images that you can't really see now because of the glare, but the 3 flower images are on my mat. I'm going to save them again now, but this time I'm going to save them onto the USB stick. And it said that it saved the file name as 000001, and I'm going to say OK. And that's it. So I've got this design saved as file number 126 in the machine, and it's now saved with all those zeros and the 1 at the end on the USB stick. So I'm just going to say OK, hit the home button, and that's it. So this USB stick now, on Wednesday, I will try and remember to show you how I make a file and put those cutting files in it, but renamed. And the only thing I would say is, once you've renamed it, if you then open it in the machine and try to resave it into the machine, it will still save it as a number. It will ignore the name you've given it. The only way you'll see the names are if you keep them on a USB stick. Right, let me catch up with what you're saying, and then it's like 20 to 7 nearly. So I'm going to, if there's no more questions, I'm going to get going, but I'll catch up on the last few things. Lynn Gaskell's saying, thanks again, Ashley. Our internet has been shocking, more stopping than going, so we'll watch later. No worries, it's fine. Thea's saying, thank you, have to go. Yeah, that's fine. Great ideas, waiting for dull day. Yeah, I've got that one. Thank you, Ashley. See you Wednesday. Have a good week. Yes, same to you, Dawn. Leslie's saying, got to go, Ashley. Thank you once again for the evening. You're welcome. I'm going myself now. Mandy G, that's great. See you Wednesday. Caroline, how that would be so helpful. Charlotte, storage and keeping track of files is something I struggle with, so I will certainly be. Okay, well, we'll cover that on Wednesday then. We'll do all about making files and saving them and that kind of thing. We'll make that Wednesday's project, shall we, if that's okay with everybody. Can you use a replacement blade from a CM machine? Yes, you can, Pat. If you go to my website, applelover53.co.uk, click on the ScanNCut tab, and then go down to the Help and Information tab, you'll find the manual for the SDX machine, and it tells you in there. I wouldn't use it as a permanent solution, but as a backup, if you broke your SDX blade and you didn't have one, and you had a spare CM blade, then yes, you can. All the information is in the manual, and the manuals are on my website. Linda's saying, thank you so much, Ashley, so helpful. See you Wednesday. Yeah, Tony, thanks again, Ashley, looking forward to Wednesday. Brilliant. That's fab. So please give the video a thumbs up if you can. It does help more and more people find it, because as you can see, each week we're getting new people joining, and by hitting the thumbs up and you all making comments and sharing comments here with me, that encourages YouTube to push my video out to more people, and it helps it get found. So it helps other people, excuse me, that might be struggling like we all have done, to be able to find my videos and get help. So the thumbs up really do help, honestly. Thank you. Yes, Angel, stay safe to you. Pat Riley, thank you. I have a new one, but CM machine not working now. Yeah, as I say, Pat, the information is in the manual. So if you go and have a look at the manual on my... the link to the manual is on, as I say, the help and information page of my website. And you can read it online or you can print it off. And it is in there. I can't remember what page it's on, but it's definitely in there and it explains all about it. I think it might say it's not necessarily a permanent solution. I can't remember. But the information is there. Christine, thank you. Ashley, see you Wednesday. Yeah, that's fine. So has anybody got any last questions before I go? I need to get another quick drink because my throat is getting really dry now. Suzanne, you're welcome. It really is lovely seeing all the same names and, you know, each week joining me. It's great, and it's lovely to see new names as well. So I'll just give it a couple of minutes because it's 6:40 now. So I've been on longer than I normally like to keep you all. I normally only like to keep you for an hour so you don't get, you know, bored or, you know, I'm rambling on too long. That's why I try to keep them to an hour. But this one's obviously gone on a bit longer, but there was more things I wanted to try and explain. So hopefully you're all okay with that. You don't get bored. Okay, thank you, Linda. Can't see any questions, but I'll give it another couple of minutes. It's 6:42. I'll give it to 6:45. We don't get bored, never bored. We love visiting with you. Go over all you want. Oh, okay, thank you, Charlotte. But I am mindful because I know, you know, I watch videos and sometimes people rabble on and I think, oh, you know, come on, get to what you're trying to show me, you know, six or 10 minutes into the video and they've not even shown you what they're going to show you. So I'm mindful that I do try to, you know, I like to come on maybe 5 or 10 minutes before if I can and say hello to everybody. But I am mindful that I try to start on time and that I try not to keep you all. Thanks, Ashley, I was late, so have been lurking. Susan, it's fine, don't worry. Don't need to lurk, it will be recorded, hopefully, and you can go back and watch it later. Sometimes it does take quite a few hours to render, and obviously I've been on longer tonight than I would normally be, so it might take longer to render for you to watch it, but touch wood, it will be there, and you should be able to watch it either later tonight or tomorrow. We're very lucky to get longer. Oh, you're welcome, Mandy, thank you. Unlike so many, you don't waste our or your time. Or I try not to, as I say, I try to, you know, get a little bit prepared before I come on and hopefully just, you know, show you what I want to try and show you. Hi, Helen. Unfortunately, the afternoon dog walked up longer than usual, so I'll catch up later. It's fine, Helen, don't worry. That's what they're all about, isn't it? Dipping in and out, you know. And obviously, you know, if we all get distracted and we've got other things to do in our lives, I realise that, you know, you're not all going to want to be free at 5 o'clock on a Sunday to tune in. And that's why hopefully I try to make sure they're all recorded and you can catch up. And I know a lot of people in America and a lot of people in Australia watch me, and they're at completely different time zones. So I also get a lot of messages on a Monday as well after people in Australia have watched them when they get up. So that's lovely as well. Hi, Susan. Hi, Ashley. Sorry about the acronymic message. After being able to get my stamps in the right position in the mask, first I stamp the image, then put the mask over. First I stamp the image and then put the mask over. Okay. Like I said, we all, I'm not saying the way I do it is right. We all find our own way of working, don't we? And that's what it's all about. But the ScanNCut is more than just, you know, a paperweight, an expensive paperweight, and I'm trying to get people to use their machine more. That was kind of like what I set off in January. That was my thing. I wanted to try and get more and more people using them, because when I helped launch this SDX at the NEC with makers last year, The amount of people that told me over the days that I was there that they've had a CM machine and it's been in the bottom of a wardrobe for 3 years, somebody said, and somebody else said it was in a craft room and not used for over a year. And they're expensive pieces of machinery and we need to use them. And the more I mess about and play around with mine, and then I can pass that information on to you guys, because we all craft differently. You're not all paper crafters, I know that. You know, you tell me I am predominantly a paper crafter, but I do know that, you know, a lot of people that use fabric craft with it. So we can all share our knowledge, or if I find out how to do something, you know, I share it, and then hopefully that sparks somebody else's imagination that does something else, and then they can try it. So Susan's saying it means I get it a nice equal white border, saves faffing about trying to position your stamps in the mask. Okay, perfect. I'll try that then. That's a good tip. Thank you. Judy's saying I tried cutting masks. I tried cutting masking paper on my CM350 and it tore. Researched and they said masking paper too thin. Is there a way to cut it? Yes, I have cut masking paper on my old CM machine. I can't remember whether it was the 600 or the 900, but I have definitely cut masking paper and I've cut it with the SDX. It is thin, Judy, but I would say it's no thinner than copy paper, and you know, you can cut copy paper. So I would say a low blade and light pressure. And Judy, I did a video a while ago, it's on my channel and I can't remember what it was called, but I showed you how to get a piece of card and hold your blade up against it to see where your blade protruded over the card, and how to set your blade based on that. Try that with your mask. But masking paper is very thin, yes, but I have cut it and it cuts perfectly with the auto blade, I can tell you that because I've done it. But I have done it on a previous CM model. I just can't remember whether it was the 900 or the 600. There's probably, I think maybe a video on YouTube of me using a CM model cutting masking paper. But just try it, you know, play about with it. Just cut one piece of masking paper and use the test cut rather than trying to cut a big design. And if you use the test cut using, say, the little square, you'll get more shapes out of your masking paper to try it to see what works for your machine. Because as I said the other week, on the CM models, all those pieces of paper that are on the blades are all set in different positions. So if I said to you, put your blade on 1, and you turn your blade to 1, and then I said to, say, Leslie, put your blade on 1, the blade could be at 2 completely different settings, because those pieces of paper were put on all those blade holders at different positions. And there's a good article again on my website, there's a link to it. It was the gentleman crafter that did it years ago, and I'm sure there's a link again on applelover53.co.uk on the ScanNCut tab. Go to help and information, and in all the table that's in there with the links to all the manuals and all that kind of thing, I'm sure there's a link on there that says something like blades or something, I can't remember, but there's definitely a link, and he shows you 4 different blades for the CM model, with the blades all set at the same number, but the numbers are all different because that piece of paper with all those numbers on was all set higgledy-piggledy, for want of a better word. Where am I? I think that's all the comments now. So Judy, I presume you know how to use the test cut facility in your machine. You know there's a button that says test cut, don't you? I would do that rather than cutting big, you know, shapes. Don't waste all your masking tape. You know, cutting big shapes that are in your machine. Use the small test cut. You choose between a tiny square, a triangle or a circle, and that way you put that on, you know, do a background scan so you can see your mask, put your test shape on, try cutting it. If it doesn't work, move your shape over on your screen so it comes to a fresh bit of your masking tape and keep trying it until you find the setting that works for you. Caroline, yeah, see you Wednesday. Okay, there's a lot of people dropped off now. I can see there's only 50 and there was about 92 before, so obviously lots of people are going, which is fine. I'll just wait and see if Judy answers my question about knowing how to do the test cut, and then I am going to go because it is 10 to 7 now. Yeah, bye Patty, see you Wednesday. Just having another quick drink of my water. Find all the bits and pieces so I can have a tidy up and put all my machine and everything away. I will try the test cut. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Right, I'm going to go now then, everybody. So I hope that was informative, and we will do the saving and naming and creating folders with a USB stick on Wednesday. So I'm going to say goodbye. Keep safe, everybody. Have a good week, and hopefully I'll speak to you all on Wednesday, and barring any problems, Wednesday will be recorded as it normally is. All these live sessions are going into a playlist called Live. So if it's anything that I'm doing on a Wednesday or a Sunday, if you go to my channel, click on playlist and look for the live playlist, all these recordings are all going in there, rather than going in like my other playlist, you know, like I've got a Canvas playlist or a ScanNCut playlist. All the lives are going into a live playlist of their own, which should hopefully make it easier for everybody to find. Yeah, everybody keep safe. Thank you, Rosemary. See you all on Wednesday. Right, I'm going to go now then, guys. Thanks a lot. See you all soon. Take care. Bye.